Welcome back, Source Nation. You're here again at the second hour of Mailbox Sunday. This is Conversations with RL. I'm your host, Rick Lanier. As I said at the beginning of the hour, I have a phenomenal guest here on in studio with me today, Mr. Lucario. Well-known man. Some of you may know of some of his work. I'll be honest, I didn't know until recently, and I've had a ball with everything I had got my hands on today. A real fire starter, I say the least. Like I said, I reviewed some of this information. I shared it today, and I got some really mixed reviews, and I'm glad to have the brother in studio with me today. I'll give you a brief introduction of him. He's an author. I'm sure he'll tell you a little bit about that. Relationship guru. He's also well sought out on the speaking circuit. He's the bad boy of dating himself. I think he's mic'd up and ready to go right now. And if you would, Mr. Locario, please address Source Nation.
Hey, what's going on? How you guys doing?
We're glad to have you here today, man. We truly are. As I said just a second ago, I looked on your website. Man, I'm impressed. I love it. I love the fact that you stepped out of the box and said some things that not a lot of people say. I got to ask you one question before we get started, though. How much of it is real? I mean, do you believe what you preach, or are you just putting it out there? Talk to me, man.
Oh no, it's 1,000% real. You know, that's how I do. I just, I'm just honest. I teach people about being honest. There's too much, faking and fronting out there already. So I don't want to be another one of the people that's, fronting out there. You know what I'm saying? So
I love it. I love it, man. I was sharing, and I'm going to share with Source Nation some of your book titles as well, man. But I purposely, like I said, after I got a hold of the information, playing devil's advocate, I started throwing some ideas around and some of the things that I share. And like I say, you almost got me beat up in a couple of settings, man. I don't know. So, indeed. Source Nation, check it out. A couple of titles of his books. We got The Bad Boy Guide to Dating. I love this one. How to have sex with 2 women a day. And it's your fault you're single. I think that's the one that caused for controversy. It's your fault that you're single. Tell Source Nation a little bit about the books and give them a better understanding of who you are, man.
Yeah, so let's start with It's Your Fault You're Single. That book is strictly for women, and it's called It's Your Fault You're Single, Tips on Finding Mr. Right. So that book basically tells women that they're responsible for their own relationship life, their own dating life. So, 9 times out of 10, if you're single, it's something that you're doing to make yourself continue to be single. You know what I mean? So that's like what that book is about. It kind of teaches women about men and about things they could do a little bit better to, make their dating lives improve. And my other book, How to Have Sex with 2 Women a Day, that's strictly for the guys, and it's basically a book, a how-to book, step-by-step book that guys can read and learn how to, date and have sex with multiple women. And I have the other thing is called The Bad Boys Guide to Dating, which is a DVD, and it's a step-by-step DVD. It's about like 2.5, 3 hours long, and it teaches you basically everything you need to know about attracting quality women and stuff like that. So,
Sounds pretty good.
That's pretty much it, yeah.
Yeah. Now, I like I said, I just gave Source Nation a little tidbit, man. Why don't you give a formal introduction of yourself, man? Let them know who you are.
Right. So I'm a dating and life coach. I've written, several books on dating and relationships. I do private coaching. I also do lectures at, schools and different events. I actually have an event coming up this Sunday in New York City. It's called Manhood in the Game Seminar. So it's a lecture for men on relationships, dating, and a whole bunch of different things. And I've just been doing this for, about like 6 or 7 years now. And I just like helping people. So I just really like to get people to really hear the real deal. It's like I don't like to I see too much of, when it comes to dating and relationships, too much stuff that, it sounds good, it sounds cute, but it's like it doesn't really help that many people. And this is why a lot of people are having issues. So I like to just come with the real and come with something realistic that can really help people. So that's, my angle with everything that I do.
I like it, man. Like I said, I've been impressed with everything I got my hands on, to be honest with you. I'm going to ask you something, man. Like I say, I already know. Like I say, I know I'm going to have questions flooding in today. I'm ready for that. I know the phone line is going to light up as well. But one thing I just want to know, we're going to fine-tune it today. I know you're a relationship guru. You do a lot in that area.
Right. We're
going to talk about one thing today in particular, man, and it's a real taboo subject with a lot of people, and that's the open relationship. I'm real skeptical. I think, a lot of people are fascinated, but you got to be careful when you open Pandora's box. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, I mean, I agree. It's something that you have to be the type of person that can that is, can deal with that type of relationship or actually wants that type of relationship. There are people that want an open relationship, but they're scared to do that because they're scared of what everybody else is going to think. And I always tell people, look, you have to figure out what you want first, and if an open relationship is what you want, then you can do that. And also, a lot of people don't realize that open relationships, there are different types of open relationships, and you and your partner define what that relationship is going to be for you guys. So that's what actually makes it open, because it's more so about you defining what you want your relationship to be in that situation.
Right. I'm glad you led in with that. That was one of the questions what I was going to ask next, is to define open relationship. I think you just answered that for me, and you're absolutely right. I think every relationship is different. It's what you and your partner decide is comfortable for you two. In your opinion, man, like I say, with your work, the people that you've encountered, give me some of the pluses and negatives that you've heard about open relationships. Mostly what I've heard is that something didn't quite go the way it was planned out in the beginning,
Right. I mean, well, I say the pluses about open relationships is that, you have a more of a variety comes to your relationship, that being, it could either be sexual, it could either be, just a certain type of communication, certain, emotional feelings that you have between, a number of different people. So also that's something that's positive about it. And also, too, a lot of people who are in open relationships, you have people who are in polygamous relationships or open marriages and stuff where they pull their money together. So since it's more people, in the relationship, that's more money that can be brought to the table. You know what I mean? But I guess the cons of it would be if a person's not really honest with themselves and they really are not ready for that type of relationship, there could be a lot of jealousy. And even sometimes there might be jealousy in open relationships, even if the person wants it. So that's something that has to be talked about through, while they're, having discussions and, figuring out where everybody's at. So if you don't really have those discussions, a con could be that jealousy, that kind of animosity that's there if no one's really communicating,
Yeah, I'm just curious, man. I really am. No, great answer, but I'm just curious, man. I hear people, especially, everything's evolving. This is a new day. It's 2014, man. It's not like it was back then. We're going to skip straight to the chase, man. Come on. You and your mate are sitting there. You're curious, you throw it out there, they bite. But I guess what most of the listeners were talking about, let me ask you this. Let's put it this way. All right, you open up your intimacy department to someone else. All right, you realize you can't handle it. What's the next step, man? How do we deal with that? The damage is already done, or the exposure is already there. What's next?
Well, the thing is that, if you doing a type of relationship thing and you try it and you feel like, well, I don't know, I'm not really into this, or I'm jealous, I'm upset, it comes down to the two individuals really communicating and seeing where they're at in the relationship, and actually how important it is for, each individual to have a certain type of relationship. So if one person's like, hey, I really want this thing to be open, and another person's not comfortable with that, then that relationship is not, at that point, they need to have a discussion about if they actually truly want to stay in the relationship with each other. Because if you have two people who want two different things, it's what's going to either happen is they're going to end it there, or they're going to continue, and there's going to be some animosity on one part or the other, because they're both one is kind of leaning towards the other one, but the other one wants something else. So it's kind of like when you think about relationships, I always say that the relationship has to fit. It's kind of like when you go to a shoe store. You go to a shoe store, you try on the shoes, and then if the shoe fits, then you walk out with the shoe and you buy the shoe. You don't go to a shoe store and it's a 6, and you really wear a 7 and your feet is hurting. You don't just say, well, I'm going to take it and just try to make it work. You know what I mean? Eventually you're not going to be wearing that shoe and not want to have nothing to do with that shoe. Same thing with relationships. If you don't be honest in those situations, then it's going to blow up in your face later on. So it's better for two people who are not connecting to say, okay, well, look, I want this open relationship. You don't want it, so we might as well just peace out. You know what I mean? We can still be friends,
Indeed.
But if this is something that's important to me, and monogamy or whatever is important to you, we might have to not be together in this capacity if we're trying to move forward. You see what I mean?
Indeed, I do. Well, let me ask you this. You hear, oftentimes I hear more women say this, they're trying to spice up the bedroom. You know, they feel like they maybe leave something to be desired here. My husband is into this. My boyfriend is into this. He's brought this idea to the table, and I just want to make him happy. I'm sure you've heard that in your life. I just want to make him happy, so I'm willing to try this. Come on, man, address this situation. I mean, like you said, I like what you said in the beginning. You said if you and him are both open, or the two of you are both open to it, then it's something maybe you should attempt to explore. Is it spicing up a relationship, man, or is it the beginning of the end? You said you talk plain. Hit me with it.
Right. Now, the thing is this, is that, you know, if let's say, like in your example, you're saying the guy wants it and the girl's like, I want to make him happy, let's try it out. And let's say, for example, that girl is not too sure about this whole situation, but she wants to make her man happy. Sometimes trying it out will show you if you actually like it. See, the thing is that sometimes you don't know if you're into something until you actually do that thing. So the thing is that if you try it out and you say, okay, well, I tried it out, you know, it was fun, he was happy, I had a good time, then now you know, okay, this is how I feel when these interactions happen. You know what I mean? But if you try it out and you say, okay, well, I'm kind of not feeling it, but, you know, like he was happy or whatever, then you can have the discussion with your man and say, well, you know, hey, we tried it out. I wasn't really feeling it too much. And most dudes can respect that aspect of it because, you know, in that sense, because the woman at least tried to do it. She at least tried to make him happy at that point. So he can respect that and say, okay, well, my girl really not into that. And then he also has to make a decision to say, okay, you know, how important is my relationship in the long run to where do I really want to continue doing this or do I want to just stay with my girl and we could do what we do, you know, and that's that. But it's really about the honesty on both ends of the spectrum. So it's like at the end of the day, like the honesty level is it has to be there or else things are not going to work out in the long run. So it's always good to have that honesty within the relationship from the beginning throughout the relationship so you can have those discussions to even try other things that's new and to explore new things with your partner. You see what I'm saying?
Indeed, I do. And like I say, forgive me, man, if any of my questions sound crossways. What it is, of course, I got to get the interview. Indeed. So you know what I've heard a lot of people say, and this is true. Not even for interview's sake. What I've heard a lot of people say though, you know, me and my mate tried it. You know, we were going to try to spice it up a little bit, just something different. He wanted it, she wanted it, or whatever. Now I think my women audience will like this right here. Now, I hear a lot of women saying that about the men. They want to please that man. They want to make him happy. What have you encountered? Well, what happens when that woman asks that man, you know, hey, let's spice it up. Let's bring another guy in. Why are we not that receptive? I know me personally, I don't like to share my toys. I can't speak for anybody else. but now, again, I think my women and listeners are like this. But why men, in your opinion, why are they not as receptive as maybe the women?
Right. Well, you know what it is? The thing is also is that men generally aren't receptive to women being, you know, like sexually free just in general, you know, because see, the thing is with guys, we'll see a woman and we can have sex with like 20 girls and still come home to our girl and not, you know, it won't be a difference. You know what I'm saying? Or a guy will cheat sometimes and he'll just cheat just because he wanted some side, you know, stuff or whatever. But whenever a woman, you know, a lot of times, you know, even through a guy's experience, he's experiencing you know, dating a woman, then, you know, eventually having sex with her and having to have this courtship or going through something in order to get sex from her. And then usually when women cheat, guys, you know, women usually will cheat because they feel like there's something wrong with the relationship. So when a guy sees that his woman wants to bring in an extra guy or do something on the side, he's kind of like, questioning it like why do you want to do this? Like there's this extra thing because most women don't just do it just because of a sexual thing. So they always question that in the back of their head. So guys aren't as receptive because guys aren't used to women being that sexually free. And that you know, that goes you know, along with societal norms of how women are supposed to act and, you know, pressured by society for women to act certain ways. But women themselves are as sexual as, or even more sexual than guys in most cases. So it's like up to the guy to kind of like say, okay, well, my girl might want to do this and just be in the headspace or have the understanding that sometimes your girl might just want to do this to explore just like how you want to explore. You know what I'm saying? And the thing is that I always look at it like, hey, if you tell your girl, like, look, let's do this, then you can tell her, all right, we're going to do this time, and now you're going to get your friend, and we're going to do it with her, so y'all can, you know, have it a little bit even if you want to. You know what I'm saying? So that could always happen.
Okay. All right. Personally, I'd like to meet the brother that agrees to that, but I got you. Let me ask you a question. Now, this is a more serious question, brother. Check this out. Is it honestly possible? Is it possible to have a truly open relationship with someone that you truly care about? Now, a simple question, but it has a lot of levity. I mean, is it possible? Someone you really care about. I mean, everybody has a story. Everybody has things in the past, skeletons or what have you. I mean, this is your Mrs. Right. This is the one that you've decided that you wanted to grow with. Is that really possible, man? Is that? I mean, have you not reached that point that you're past your exploratory stage, and I mean, you're committed now? Is that possible?
Well, see, the thing is, it's definitely possible because the thought of an open relationship. See, a lot of people they come to open relationships with the mind state as if monogamy when we're putting it together, when we're like looking at it side by side, monogamy and open relationship. A lot of people still are under the understanding or the mentality that monogamy is the apex, it's the end all be all. So it's kind of like, well, yeah, you're doing this open relationship thing, but maybe later on when you mature and when you start, when you stop playing around, you want just you and your lady or you and your man. You understand? But the thing is with the open relationship is actually the same value as a monogamous relationship, but it's just different. So you can actually be in love with somebody that you're in an open relationship with, and the reason why you're in love with this person is because you yourself are into open relationships and they are also into open relationships. So they're just a reflection of you. So you're basically in love with you and what you're about, and then you'll find somebody that's in love, that's kind of connecting with you like that. So that's where the love comes in, because you're like, I actually found somebody that I can connect with on all these different levels. You see what I'm saying? So it's not about something that's like a fad or something like that. Like this person actually, now feels that open relationship or wants to be in that open relationship, and they love the person that they're in this open relationship with. You see what I'm saying? Because that is their relationship. You see what I'm saying? So that's how that goes.
I do. Again, and like I say, just for like I say, Source Nation, my listeners, these questions I do have to ask. It's no different, in my opinion. Again, this is my personal opinion. It's no different than whether it be homosexuality, whether it be swingers.
Right.
I think what we've encountered, and too often we've allowed society to dictate what's acceptable and what's not. And one thing I do like that you said just now is that it's all about finding someone you're compatible with. And then I mean, if you and your mate both agree that this is normal, there's nothing out of line with that. I do agree with that, like I said. So I can appreciate that, brother. I really can. What advice would you give people? I mean, people that are open, and because it's going to come some criticism. You and I both know that.
Right.
I'll tell you something funny. You said you alluded to it earlier. Men, we could go out and have sex with 20, 30 women, come home. It's an afterthought, right? It's an afterthought.
Right.
And I hear men often say, I'm just doing me. Why is it looked at differently? I actually had a conversation with a woman once, and she made the statement, "I'm doing me," and my response was, in a woman's case, you're more so getting done. How would you respond to that?
Right. Well, that's an interesting concept, because what a lot of people don't realize they sort of realize this, but when you look at it objectively, for a man to acquire sexual encounters, men have to work harder than women. You understand what I'm saying? So a woman, if she wanted to, literally, she can go out every night and have sex with a different guy every night, like clockwork. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like a different type of situation when it comes to men and women and sexuality and being open and free like that. You understand? Now, there's nothing wrong with a woman, doing that if she wants to. You understand what I'm saying? And if she's protecting herself and, she's not getting super emotionally attached, because we also got to talk about that, where women will interpret the sexual encounters a little bit different than guys. You understand? Like we were saying earlier, guys, we could just go and do this girl and do that girl in most cases, and, we'll be like, whatever. You understand? But sometimes a woman might do that, and she might start catching feelings for another guy, or she might feel a certain way about the interaction later, and I'm just being general because there's always exceptions. But I think that's the difference, between men and women, and why certain guys will kind of look at women maybe sort of funny if they're talking about that type of situation. You know what I'm saying? And like you're saying, the women are getting done or they get did because, you still have someone entering into you. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it's a different type of thing than a guy entering the woman. You know what I mean? It's just a totally different thing.
Listen, I got a questions coming in from one of the listeners here. I think we've opened the floodgate. It's directed to you, Mr. Lucario. Are you in an open relationship, or have you ever been?
Yeah, well, right now I'm basically it's called the definition is called partner non-monogamy. So it's like me and my wife, we're together. But if, let's say, for example, we don't technically look for other people, but if, let's say, for example, if I was somewhere on a business trip and I met some woman and I wanted to have sex with her, it would be okay, and that would not ruin my relationship or wouldn't be going against the rules of my relationship. So it's kind of like we don't technically look for people to get with. You understand what I'm saying? But if something happens where we're in a situation and we wanted to do something sexual, then that it's cool with me and my wife. You understand what I'm saying? And then you have other different types of open relationships where I have a friend who she's in an open marriage. They've been together for 19 years, and they actually have she has a boyfriend and her husband has a girlfriend. So it's like a whole different type of open relationship. So there's so many different forms. You even have relationships where it will be three people, and it will be like a guy and a girl, and the guy is allowed to see other women, but his girl stays monogamous to him, she stays just with him. So it's different types of things. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm saying. It's different types of open relationships, right?
Indeed. I said at the top of the hour, I knew I had the perfect guest. You're going to get a kick out of this, though. The same person that asked the question made it a fact. They wanted me to tell you that you're getting done.
Yeah.
Yeah. How long have you been married, man? Oh, I got a great listening base, man. I really do.
Right.
How long have you been married?
Well, I just got married in January, but I've been with my girls for 7 years now, almost 8 years. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's been a while.
Well, congratulations. Okay.
Thank you.
Indeed. Listen, Source Nation, I want to remind you, you got questions. I know you're chopping at the bit here. Remember, the call-in number is 619-924-0933. Now, if you want to interact with me or Mr. Lucario, make sure to press the option 1. Yeah, man, but I really like the open-mindedness of it. And like I say, I tell many people, one thing I tell my audience, be open-minded. We're here to, get information and to learn from one another. Like I said, we're not being critical, anything like that. But I am open to different ideas, especially as I tell people that like this. As long as you understand your conviction, I'm fine with it. We can discuss it all day. So you're married. Can you honestly tell me, though, Mr. Lucario, it wouldn't bother you at all? Your wife is out on business and runs across someone and she's attracted, and one thing leads to another. There's no problem when she gets home. There's no insecurities building up with you. There's no question and answering session required. I mean, as long as she came home and was honest, that's the end of it, correct?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, as long as, she's protecting herself, that's really all I care about. Because this is the thing is what I love about my woman was I said, when we first got together, we were just dating or whatever, and then she wanted to get with me, just me and her, and I said, hey, okay, we can do this, but I might still want to, mess around with other girls, and she was like, okay, cool, so she was like, I still want to be with you. So I was like, okay, this is good. But the thing is that, when it comes to, the whole open relationship thing, we looked at it as from a realistic standpoint, really searching within ourselves and saying, well, how do I feel besides just looking at you or looking at everybody else, how do I feel as an individual about what I want out of life, right? And then you find somebody else who feels the same way and who accepts you for who you are. So that's really the crux of it, because a lot of times this is why you have so much divorce and so much cheating and all this other stuff, because people aren't honest with themselves first, and they're always listening to what society is telling them they're supposed to do, and then they just they start doing all this slick stuff and sneak in and doing all this other craziness because they're not being honest within themselves. And then what happens from that is that you start to lie to everybody else. You're automatically going to lie to everyone else if you're lying to yourself. You understand what I'm saying? So that's just how it goes. So I said, if I'm with my girl, I want to make sure that I'm being honest with her, she's being honest with me, and the communication starts from there, so we can actually have a healthy relationship. You know what I mean? So that's really what it's about. So if in the future things may change, then we can have that discussion. You see what I'm saying? Because you always have to just communicate and continue that communication and then see where that goes and see where that takes you.
So one of the benefits that you feel you have in your marriage right now is it does away with the deception.
I think the benefits really is just me feeling free, really. I feel like, because, I coach a lot of guys, and, I coach guys who are even, in marriages and who have girlfriends, and a lot of guys, they're like, oh, my girl, she's doing this or she's doing that, and I'm like, well, you should communicate, let's talk about this, and he's like, oh, I don't feel like bothering, I don't want to get into an argument, so it's like all these things that are happening within the guy, or even sometimes the women I coach who might have somebody they're dating, there's certain things that they want to tell their man, but they're scared to tell him. So you have two people in a relationship who are thinking totally different things, and then they don't even want to tell each other about it. They don't even want to. They don't really know their partner. You see what I'm saying? So I think having that, that's the thing about with open relationships is it has that thing where you're basically open to say and tell this person what you're really about. I always look at all relationships technically as open relationships, because even when you have a friendship, you might have a best friend, but then you also have other friends that you hang out with. You see what I'm saying? Or you know what I mean? So it's like there's different levels to all this stuff. So it's like, but you're open to really be with these people and be who you are around these people, and you're not getting scolded, and people are accepting you for who you are. You understand?
Indeed. I have a question just came in via Facebook. They said, what happens if your wife gets pregnant by another guy?
Well, that's the thing. you gotta make sure you're doing it. You got to make sure you're doing it right, because this is the thing. Most people, I even get this question about my book, How to Have Sex 2 Men a Day. They say, well, if you're teaching guys how to have all this sex, and what about pregnancy? What about STDs? And those things happen. You understand, we're living in reality. These things happen. But the thing is that if you know what you're doing and you're doing it right, the chances of it actually happening are less likely, because most of the time when people get pregnant, most of the time when people catch stuff, is usually because they haven't been responsible with what they were doing. So myself, for example, I've had sex with like hundreds of women, never got an STD, never got anyone pregnant. So I've had sex with more, like every time when I meet a guy, I think I've met probably 2 men in my life who've had more sex than me. So if I've had more sex than most of the guys that I've met, and I have no kids and no STDs, I'm like, what's your excuse? You understand what I'm saying? So a lot of times it's like people are just being careless and not doing what they're supposed to do as far as protecting themselves and just being knowledgeable about, STDs and unwanted pregnancies and stuff. Because a lot of people, truthfully, they don't know certain things. They think, well, I can't get her pregnant if I do this, or I can't get a STD by doing this. And there's a lot of times where you can, but you just you didn't know the information. You see what I'm saying? So I always tell people they have to read up and know the information on what they're doing and learn how to do it right. You see what I'm saying?
Indeed. You're on pace for catching up with Wilt, brother. You know that, right?
I'm catching up.
Wilt Chamberlain, no doubt. Nah, I'm just having fun with you, man. No, in all honesty, what I'm careful to do here, and like I said, I'm getting a lot of questions here, but I'm sorting through them as well, because like I say, a lot of people, one thing I do applaud. I applaud your honesty, first of all. And like I said, it makes sense. What you're telling me is that you and your partner, you and your wife, are okay with where you are, so there's no problem there. Now, on the other side of the spectrum, I know people personally in monogamous relationships, or supposedly monogamous relationships, who can barely sit in the same room with one another. So I'm trying to make sure that Source Nation understands that we're not here to give an opinion, nor do you probably really care what their opinion is. You know what I mean? It's just sharing some information. Let me ask you this, though. You say you talk to a lot of people, especially a lot of men and things like that. Do you catch yourself talking to more married men who are trying to get their relationship liberated a bit more, or are you catching more single men that just want a little advice? What do you catch yourself running into the most?
Well, usually it's single men that I talk to married men, but the funny part is, like, I help more single men, but the married men, for some reason, because they're married, they think that's the end of the game. You understand? You think, oh, well, I don't need any advice. I don't need to know nothing because I'm married. But most of them are in miserable marriages. You understand? Like they're not really happy in it, and it's like you got to ask yourself why. And the reason is because a lot of times when guys get married, they end up just giving up, or they don't really know how to maintain a happy marriage. You understand? And maintaining a happy marriage actually happens before the marriage even happens. Maintaining a happy marriage or happy relationships start when you first meet the person you're with. Do you understand what I'm saying? It happens at the day you met and the day you guys are going on dates and stuff like that. It starts there, and then it leads up to all this other stuff. A lot of times people have, bad marriages and their marriages aren't working out is because they're getting married to someone who they don't even like in the first place. That's truly what it is. A guy might get married to a woman because she got pregnant. They've been together for 5 years, so he feels pressured. Yeah, well, let me just marry this woman. But there's no real reason why they're doing it. They're just doing it because they feel like they're supposed to, and that is a recipe for a bad marriage. You see what I'm saying?
Indeed. Somebody just tweeted in just now. Somebody just tweeted in. They said they heard you just a second ago say that you liked your freedom or liberation. They said, why did you get married in the first place if you wanted to be sexually free?
Right. They said, why did I want to get married in the first place if I wanted to be what?
Sexually free.
Right. You see, that's it's funny they would ask that question because in that question it says, why would you get married if you want to be sexually free? Because that in itself, that question is saying that you are not sexually free if you are married. You understand? But from that question, what I would say is that when marriage is supposed to, if you're married to somebody, you're with somebody, that person is supposed to complement your life. That person is supposed to benefit your life. So if I'm honest with myself and I say, look, I know I'm the type of person that I might still want to engage, sexually with other women, right? But I still like this person that much that I want to actually do other things, like I want to talk to you, I want to go to the movies with you, I want to eat dinner with you, I want to know what your day was like. I still want to be with this person. So the thing is that I can be with this person and at the same time still be who I am fully and not have to compromise myself too much. Because the thing is, when you're in a relationship, you're going to have to compromise at some point some way because you're with just a totally different person. This person is not you, therefore you're going to have to compromise on something because you're not the same person. But at the end of the day is that you want to be with somebody who's going to complement your life and benefit it. So the thing is that I could say, yeah, I want to, be single and I don't need to see you and be with you like that, but I'm making a choice to want to be with you because I enjoy my company with you. I enjoy everything that, that we do together. So that's why I want to be with you. Because, see, the thing is when you're talking about why get married just, if you want to be sexually free, marriage is not just about sex. You understand what I'm saying? Even an open relationship is not just about sex. It's about experiencing. It's about having a life with somebody together. So the thing is that sex is part of the marriage, but it's not the whole marriage. So there's other things that go on in my marriage that have nothing to do with sex that I enjoy with this person. You see what I'm saying? So that's why we get married. You see what I mean? So that's what the issue is.
I think that was an absolutely great answer, and I was going to help you on that one as well. That is right. So, Station, keep in mind, sex is just one aspect of a marriage. I agree with you. You have every right. You want the same companionship and the same friendship that everybody else does, and there's nothing wrong with that. Listen, Mr. Lucario, I need you to hold on the line for me. We got to pay a couple of bills. We're going to go to break for a second. I'm enjoying every bit of this. Source Nation, we're going to go to break right now. When we come back, you'll be still here with Mr. Lucario and I. We'll see you in just a minute. Nation, welcome back to Mailbox Sunday. This is Conversation with RL. I'm your host, Rick Lanier, here in studio with the bad boy dating himself, Mr. Lucario. Listen, brother, I got a caller on the line. They came through just a few minutes ago, and they definitely wanted to speak with you. You got time to get one in?
Oh, of course, yes. So do it. Let's make it happen.
Okay, caller, your last 4 digits are 3273. You're on live Conversations with RL.
Yes, I have a quick question. I just wanted to know, do you find that women of a certain financial median, social status, or career pathway more or less receptive to open relationships?
That's a good question. I don't think I don't think it's more so like a financial thing. I would say more of an upbringing thing. Like if you were in a certain upbringing, like let's say if you were in a very religious upbringing, or you know a certain type of culture where this is how it's going to be in that culture or that religion, then you might not be for open relationships if that's not in your culture. You know what I'm saying, or your religion or whatever. But other than that, you know, I don't think as far as any type of like financial you know thing, I think it all depends on really the person and how they feel, because I've actually, like, you know, dated women who are in very high financial, like, you know, like tax brackets and all that other stuff. And then I've dated women who, you know, worked at McDonald's. You know what I'm saying? And what I've noticed is that, you know, they all kind of have, like, if they're into the open relationship thing, it goes across all, like, financial barriers and all that other stuff. So, you know, I've in my experience, I haven't really seen, like, that difference, you know what I'm saying, when it comes to that.
Yeah, what about socially or career pathways?
Well, yeah, as far as socially, I think what I noticed is that they have people who are into open relationships sort of have other friends who are into it, you know what I mean? So, like, if you're in that kind of, like, scene, you know other people who are doing it, and so that you have, like, a group of people that know other people. Like, you know, I know of a group. It's like a polyamorous group that meets. I'm in New York. That meets up like every month, and they have like a, you know, like just a regular bar like night where people come and hang out and talk and all this other stuff. So it's like if you're into that, you kind of, you know, socially get into that crowd. You know what I mean? And as far as like, you know, career paths, I've, you know, met people who are lawyers, doctors, strippers, everything, like all over the place. So it's not. I never seen anything that was technically like just one type of thing all across the board. You know what I mean?
So do you find that it would be more or less harder to incorporate someone who, say, is a lawyer, or someone convincing someone that maybe not to get into an open relationship and, you know, join these type of groups?
No, I don't think it'll be harder to convince, you know, anybody depending on where they're, you know, what career they're doing or their financial status, because the thing is, all those things as far as your career and your financial status and all that other stuff, those are things that kind of, you know, it's things that are interchangeable. You know what I mean? Like 1 minute you could be a lawyer, 1 minute you could be a teacher or whatever it is. You might change careers. You might do all this other stuff. Your finances might be, you might get a lot of money this year and not so much the next year. But the thing is that how you feel about yourself and how you feel sexually, you know, whatever at that moment might still, you know, it might be consistent through all those changes. So it's not necessarily like a you know, specific, you know, career thing or a specific money thing. It's really about how that person honestly feels about where they're at and what they like. You know what I mean?
I like what you just said, brother.
Right.
And Carl, I do appreciate you calling in. We're running short on time. But I like what you said. It's all about the upbringing. And like you said, I think we were talking about norms earlier. You know, there are new norms depending on who you are. You know, what's normal to you may not be normal to me. One question I do have before I have to cut you off here is somebody just hit me and they said, without defining it, they said, would you consider yourself a swinger?
I would say before, but right now, not really. I mean, you know, like back in the day, I was, because like I kind of would go to a lot of those parties and I would, you know, be up in the scene a lot. But as of late, you know, I've just been really busy and not really like my focus is on, you know, building my business a little bit more now. So I'm not really into that scene. But yeah, I've been, you know, into those swinger, you know, environments and all that other good stuff. You know, so it's pretty fun. Good. You know, it's something to experience. You know what I'm saying?
I can imagine, man. Listen, Mr. Lucario, I wanted to tell you, man, we're running short on time. It was truly an honor to have you here, and I like to see the work that you did. Again, you might want to tell the people, I'll give you space here about your website. I mean, it was very informative, and I think it's some information you make available. Maybe you want to tell people real quickly about venues, or you say it's something coming up here soon in New York City for our listeners in there.
Right. Yeah, definitely. Any guys out there in the New York City area, make sure you see me in Times Square at the Producers Theaters Club. You can actually just go straight to my website, MrLocario.com. That's MRLOCARIO.com. Lucario.com, and you can click and get your tickets to see me. It's called Manhood in the Game, and I'm also going to have 2 other dating coaches there, so we're going to be talking about manhood, how to attract women, how to make money, everything. So it's going to be a lot of good stuff. So make sure you hit me at MrLucario.com and check out my blogs at MrLucarioTV.com. And for men and women, you can also go to my site and get a free book and a free audio on the homepage. So you can go there right now at MrLucario.com, get your free book, get your free audio, and hit me up.
Sounds good, man. Listen, like I said a second ago, it was an honor to have you here, and I hope you won't be a stranger. Source Nation, we really welcome you here, man.
I appreciate it. Let me know, man. I'll be here next time.
You have a ball, okay? It sounds good, man. Listen, Mr. Lucario, take it easy, man.
All right, you take care. Peace.
All right. Source Nation, there you go. Mr. Lucario, the bad boy of dating himself. I really enjoyed it. I really did. One thing I like the fact that he was open enough to share. And like you say, there are new norms today, and just because something works for you doesn't necessarily mean it works for them. So we want to be careful not to be critical, and just to make sure you make your thing work, okay? Listen, again, I want to thank you for joining us for Mailbox Sundays. Again, this was Conversation with RL. I'm Rick Lanier, but I want you to also remember that we have something for you 7 days a week. On Monday from 6 to 8, we have Relationship Mondays with host Kathy B. and our resident relationship co-host, Arthur Terry Bands. Tuesdays from 6 to 8 p.m. is Sports Tuesday with host Steve Manderson. On Wednesdays from 6 to 8, we have Source Radio Network Wednesday Night News with host Kayla Shea, and every other Wednesday, our resident financial advisor, Tyrone S. Mitchell. On Thursdays from 6 to 8, I want you to tune in for our Healthy Cooking and Healthy Living show. From 6 to 6:45, we have Healthy Cooking with Chef Oliver. And from 7 to 8, our naturopathic doctor, Dr. Jaleesa, and host Kathy B. On Fridays from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m., join us for Ladies Lounge with host Kathy B. Phenomenal show. Saturdays from 2 to 4 p.m., we have Indie Soul Saturdays. And finally, on Sundays from 6 to 8 p.m., it's Mailbox Sundays. From 6 to 7 p.m., you have Personal Development with Dr. Angelo Reynolds. And from 7 to 8 is yours truly, Rick Lanier, hosting Conversations with RL. Again, 7 days a week we'll be on live, and we need you to come and join us, okay? I want you all to have a good evening. Breathe easy, Source Station. Until next time.